All right, thanks everyone for joining. My name is Ross Krieger. I'm with Toromont Cat, and I'm just going to give you a brief little introduction to VisionLink and Connectivity, and then Chad's going to do a live demo of the website to give you a better idea of how it works and some tips and tricks. Okay, we're starting off with a quick disclaimer. Just going to read through it here. This presentation and the information contained herein are provided without a prejudice basis and does not constitute, nor should it be construed to constitute legal advice or a guarantee, offer, representation, or warranty on behalf of Toromont. The presentation members will be offering suggestions to several possible customer scenarios. The answers given by the presentation members should be used as a guide. Please do not discuss any confidential information that Toromont may have shared with your team in the past. This presentation is being recorded and will be shared after the meeting. All the slides will be shared after the meeting as well. I'm just starting off with a quick safety talk. Again, I assume, can't see anybody, but I assume most people are at home or in the office. If you're outside, stay hydrated. It's a pretty hot one today. And over the next couple of days, it's going to be warm. So safety talk today is stay hydrated. Quickly go through our presenters. So we have Chad Bennett, who again will be taking us through the application itself on a live demo. Chad's the product manager of digital solutions. And then we have myself, Ross Krieger. I'm channel development manager. I look after our industrial aftermarket business. Getting into kind of the why telematics and connectivity, give you a flavor of the digital aftermarket services and where the product link device and VisionLink fits into it. So right at the beginning, really, so awareness of repair and maintenance events. What we deliver is engine fault code alerts, condition monitoring, and then the CAT Inspect integration. And how we deliver it is on the product link hardware connected to the engine or machine. VisionLink, again, which Chad will go through, and then CAT Inspect as well. And then we get into proactive diagnostics and superior resolution. So that's where remote product status report comes in, remote troubleshooting, which I'll talk about briefly, advanced diagnostics, and then CAT SOS oil sample reports. And that's also on VisionLink now. So again, Chad will show us where to find that. And then this all loops into the full cycle customer engagement. So you have PCC where you order parts, and then maintenance and repair manuals and SIS and stuff like that as well. Okay, getting into the connectivity options, the hardware itself. So we have the PL542. This is the cellular model. So it supports both cellular and Wi-Fi data transmission, battery backup, and simple installation. Uses GPS for accurate location. It works in unison with other CAT applications. And this one has remote troubleshoot capabilities. We've had a couple interesting examples of this. A Starlink example for one of our drilling customers had a few drills and gensets in kind of the same area. Opted for the PL542 to connect it to the Starlink Wi-Fi actually in a remote location. So that's another interesting and creative solution. And then we have the PLE Elite. This is the satellite version, again, for those remote areas where you're so remote that Starlink isn't an option, or your machines are kind of all over the place. Again, this has all the functionality of the PL542 plus a few more. And then we get into the software platform where all of this information is held on VisionLink. And then condition monitoring is where Caterpillar comes into play as well. Automatic fault code and condition monitoring events. And this is complementary on the Connect subscription. I'll talk briefly about that in a minute. Again, all this is flexible options to, on the right side there, avoid major failures, increase first time fix, arrive ready, so we have the parts and everything ready on the first trip, service efficiency, remote troubleshooting, and then integration with all the other CAT tools, so SIS, BCC, CAT Inspect. Briefly talking about remote troubleshoot and product status reports. This is kind of where we see the real value in ProductLink and VisionLink. So it enables real-time remote diagnostics and PSR, so product status report, on connected equipment, reduces service calls, minimizes engine downtime. So this is the equivalent to plugging in with ET software. So just a quick run through of what an example would look like. Customer calls a dealer. Dealer does some remote troubleshooting, figures out what parts they need, dispatch a technician with the right parts. So they go one time with the right parts, fix the machine, service the machine so it's up with minimal downtime. And then again, these slides will be shared, so I won't go through this word by word, but these are the different subscription offerings that Toromont will offer. So the Connect one on the left side there is the complimentary version, so it's free with the device. And again, this provides you with the core telematics data, managing health, maintenance, insights, and condition monitoring. And then as you move further right, you get more often higher frequency reporting and some other options as well. And now I will pass it over to Chad to do the live demo of VisionLink.
Thank you, Ross, and good afternoon to everyone on the call. So I'm going to start off on the VisionLink live demo. I'd share my screen in a little bit. And just a little bit about myself before we start is I've been with the VisionLink application since its inception, right? So I'm talking about around 13 years ago when VisionLink came into play. So I've had the opportunity to see it grow from giving you basic information to insights that sometimes you rarely think you could get out of a machine. But as machines have progressed and got more smarter, so has the technology and the information that we started bringing into our systems. And as always, we encourage our customers to use VisionLink as much as they can, just because there's so much of data that could be utilized, not just as as someone's looking at the app, but how you could help in the field with your operators and things like that. So while we are here, I'm just going to share a very quick presentation. I'm not going to run through everything on here, but this is more of what the kind of power that VisionLink brings to your fleet, right? So like I said, not going to read it word for word, but probably I could share this later on. So we have real-time asset tracking, full fleet visibility, and we are not talking just CAT machines, but all other OEMs as well. Equipment health monitoring, as Ross mentioned, we have multiple telematics devices that don't just give you the basic information, but also feed off other ECMs on a genset or even a machine, and they bring all of that to to the VisionLink app for you to see what's actually happening. Needs review insights, more a straightforward way to tell you, okay, your machine or your genset is having this problem. Could be oil pressure is low, that you need to check on it. So it helps you always be up to date on how your product is performing in the field. Proactive action-driven alerts that could be set up based on what you like to see, like a geofence alert. If you have a machine that's working in a mine site that's going out of the mine site and coming back in, you get alerts every time it leaves and comes back. Excess idle reports or alerts that you get. Safety alerts, if you have an operator is not using a seatbelt or forgot to put in a seatbelt, you immediately get notified on that, and it gives you the machine ID, the operator ID, and so on and so forth. Utilization optimization. So again, this is basically on how your fleet is being utilized on a day-to-day basis, how you could reduce on your gas cost, or if your operator needs training on how the equipment needs to be handled or operated efficiently. Integration across digital ecosystems. So we're talking first within CAT, you have parts.cat.com, you have sysweb, Cat Inspect and Cat Interact. All of these do connect into VisionLink, so you're not going from one place to another just to log in to see information, but we bring it all under one beautiful umbrella, if you like to say, just so that it eases the need to go into multiple apps at any given time. Geofence management, like I said, exit entry boundaries. This has also helped customers when they felt their machines were stolen. So we were able to give them a proper time frame as to when the machine exited a geofence, or even they were notified at the same time, right? So VisionLink is not just an app you go to see where your machine's at, but there's so much more that it has to offer. And I'm going to go into a live demo of the application, and I'm going to go through each of the menu cards that are there. Again, not going to dwell too deep into it. I don't want to bore you on all of the talking, but just give you a high-level view on what all of these different menus mean. And if there are any questions at the end, please put them in the chat, and we'll try to get them answered for you. Right. So going on to VisionLink page. Here we go. All right, so when you get into VisionLink, when you sign in, the very first thing you get is your the landing page. You get a summary of all of your equipment, and it's something that tells you how your utilization has been over the last 7 days. If you have any preventive maintenance alerts that have come up, any overdue, any planned maintenance that is due this week, due next week, and so on. You have fuel charge levels. My tasks, again, if you create tasks for an event or a service that needs to be done, it's going to pop up here, so you get reminded every time you come into the system. And finally, you have your quick links over here. So like I said, if you click on any of these links, they directly take you into the application without you needing to sign into it again. One major feature that I would always recommend to our customers is the help center. You go into your guided tours. So if you're in any of these menu cards over here, you see a word that you don't quite understand, you just go into the guided tours and you type in what you'd like to know. And then it gives you a guided tour. It actually gives you step by step. It lets you select an asset. Then it tells you what to do next. And it guides you through the entire step till the end of the tour, right? So this is extremely helpful for someone who's new to the system, who wants to learn a lot more on how VisionLink works. Okay, we're going into the needs review page. So quickly just trying to pull up a few options that we can. So in the needs review page, you have recommendations, which is your condition monitoring insights, service insights, anything to do with your health. It gives you health summaries, fault codes, predictive maintenance analytics, and how it works is it combines the telematics data with what's coming out of the machine, and then it gives you insights on what needs to be done for if there's a fault code that is happening on your engine or your truck or any of your machines. Safety events is when you have, like I said, if you're about to, if your vehicle, or I'm just going to give you vehicle because this is more where the safety comes into play, is if you're in a place where there's not enough turning radius for your machine and there's another one parked inside, the machine doesn't move forward, right? Or if you have a seat belt that has accidentally been, untethered from the seat, you get an alert from that, right? So these are safety alerts to keep you or the operator aware of what's happening to the machine. Health events talks about the different health codes that come out from the machines, just letting you know, okay, this is, I'm doing fine or I'm not doing fine, right? I'm having an issue with the oil on my exhaust is malfunctioning, it's not functioning the way it should, right? So it's basically the machine talking to you on a real-time basis and letting you know, okay, this needs to be fixed. So in most cases, you'd see all of your high or medium level fault codes in the needs review place under health events. Similarly, planned maintenance, if you have any upcoming, any things that have been completed or overdue, you could take a look at them over here. If they're completed, you know what's been done on it, and then you can action on when the next maintenance needs to be done. Another good one over here is the device status that is not reporting. So if you have any of your engines that are not reported over the last few days, it gives you a heads up on, okay, we've not received any information from this engine or this genset, and someone needs to go on site to ensure that the telematics is actually positioned correctly. Sometimes it could just not be seeing enough satellites, so it's working underground that, it's not able to communicate to the back office. So this is another important part. The only reason this helps is because you need to have your telematics connecting to the back office for you to see your fault codes, or just be alerted if something is going down. Charge levels, again, this is something new that they've brought into the system. This could be for EV vehicles or even for your the gensets that are there. All of these parameters, or not, I wouldn't call them parameters, but these are alerts that could be set up, and we'll eventually go into that. Moving on to the assets page. Right now, I filter this down to all of the gensets that are currently in this account. So I understand this is more for the power systems and group. So I'm trying to keep it to just the engine so you have an idea of what it looks like, right? Just to add to that, this and all these menu items over here are kind of like a summary of your entire fleet that you have, right? So anytime you click on this, you're going to see all of your fleet. Okay, similar with the assets. So at this point, you're looking at 2,100 assets. Over here, you could go ahead to filter the ones that you want to see versus the ones you don't want to. So you go under the product family, and if you're only specific to, you want to just see the C27s, then you select the C27 and they all show up here. Right, so this is the product family. You could also change if you want to see the device status, what is the status of your subscription, what model, right? It's all made just so that the customer has one easy way of looking at the assets based on each person's mindset on what they want to see when they get into the assets page. Now, from here, you could also download a report on all of your fleet. And this gives you all of the information that you see on this page. You get it onto one Excel, and some customers I know use this information to kind of feed their third-party systems as well, or something they have in-house that they want to monitor. You could schedule reports from here. Also, add an asset is another new feature that they brought in, where you go ahead, you notify your dealer that you're adding an asset, right? And this doesn't necessarily need to be a CAT machine. It can be any machine of your choice, or any genset or engine of your choice, right? You just enter this information over here and you click on add. It gets added to your fleet, and you can then monitor it, because that way you don't have to go to another place to see what's happening on this machine. Okay, so that's the asset view. Like I said, I'm going to keep it really short without dwelling too much into it. In the map screen, just give me a second. All right, under the map. Okay. Just looking at asset location. Oh. So on the map screen, you would see your entire fleet that you want, no matter where it's located, and most of them would show up in these little bubbles over here that indicate just how many assets are reporting in this particular area. Sorry. So zooming in would eventually break down these little bubbles into, yeah, there you go. With that. Okay, so as you noticed, there were 18 machines initially, or 13, but as you zoom in, it then starts breaking up to where they actually are. All right, so once in here, you could view all of your assets that are within this location. You see right here, you get to see the details of them. At the same time, if you just want to see how your machine is operating in the field, if you want to look at fault code summaries based on all of your assets that are there, or the locations, fluid analysis, inspections, or plant maintenance, right? You get to view them all, not just the asset, but if you want to just look at the fault code summary, it would break this down into all the fault codes for that particular area. Okay. Again, the date over here can be configured based on the time you're looking for. I think it goes back up to 24 months. So you get to see where your assets have been or where they currently are at, and all of the fault codes that have happened over the last 24 months. So it would probably give you a hindsight. Okay, this is where most of the faults are happening. You know, what is the reason for these faults to happen, or if this is the only machine that's having these fault codes at that location. Okay. Moving on to the planner. So planner is more to do with scheduling and coordinating the maintenance and operational activities. So you got to create a site initially to for if you have a group of 10 machines, assets, what you want to call them in a particular site, you create that site, you assign the assets to that site, and then you have you create the work time for those as well, right? So you have it in this page. So at any time you want to see which site and what assets are working on that, you could just scroll through the month or just drag the arrows down further this way to get a breakup of what are your assets have operating in that particular site at any given time. Moving on to the tasks menu. Like I mentioned in the very start, when you come into your landing page, you have the task bar over there. So the task helps you to kind of coordinate most of your services. If you want to schedule a service, say 7 days down the line, creating a task and assigning it to yourself allows you, it gives you notifications when you're nearing the task. So that way you're able to act on the issue that needs to be addressed, right? Just consider this kind of like a notebook to, you know, jot down your what's in your head in terms of what you need to get done over the next 7 days or next 14 days, right? So you add a task and then you either assign it to everyone or you just assign it to yourself. You get to complete, show the completed tasks or find tasks based on the name that you've assigned to them. Okay. Again, the most of all of the menus where you have the option to download the data that you have. So once you click on download, you could then, you know, keep it to mark it off as completed on your own, or you could always go into the system to get it done. Moving on to the health. So under health, you have fault codes, as spoke about earlier. Any fault code that comes up from an engine is immediately displayed over here, right? Again, fault codes depend on the subscription as well. So if you have a Connect subscription, which is a free subscription, you wouldn't get all of your fault codes. You'd only get the level 3, the high alert fault codes, right? So you could go in here to see what's wrong with the machine and kind of address it through the system as well. So I'm just going to give you an example. So if you go into one of these fault codes over here for this machine, now I can group this based on the fault code. So what it does is all of the fault codes for different machines get grouped based on the fault code, or you could group this based on the asset by itself. So we're just going to go with the fault code over here. As you see, it gives you how many fault codes have occurred. I'm sorry, I changed the custom date range just so that we have a lot more data to show you while we are going through this live demo. So here we have the fault code, the date it occurred, what was the service hour meters, the source that the fault code was generated from, and what type was it, right? So if I were to click on this little highlighted second. So it then tells you what that fault code means, right? So you can then check based on what you see over here, you could look at what you want to, how do you address it? Like what is the recommendations for this? And if you click on this link, it then opens up sys, which is where you would go to see what that fault code means and how it needs to be addressed. So it's sometimes if you were to get a high alert, it could be quite nerve-wracking when you think of how are we going to, what does this actually mean? So keeping the customer in mind, the developers decided that we need to show them what exactly is happening on this machine. So even if you're someone new to the construction field or even the automobile industry, that you don't understand certain fault codes, you just made it easier for you to go in and see what those mean. And once you're done through this, you get an understanding of what it actually means. You close this out, and I'm so sorry, my system is taking a little longer than expected, but you select the fault code that you need, and you could go here either to make a request, which is reaching out to Tormont and letting us know that, I have this machine with this fault code and I need someone to come and service my machine. Right, so over here you enter the description that you need for us to know what's happening. Attach any files that you might find, or if you've taken pictures of, let's say, like a faulty air tube, right? You take a picture of that, you post it up here, and then you go in, you find this part. So sorry that my system is hanging so much. Okay. So you choose a service location and the dealer, and in most cases, your dealer location would pop up on the map over here. Okay. So you have the dealer location over here. As you zoom in, you could find someone that's closer to your location, right? Or you could have the dealer come on to your site where the generator is at and have them serviced over there. This page is just going to be closed for now. All right, so that was the fault codes. Like I said, you could view what they mean, change the dates. You could view them based on the priority that you need to be seeing. And also you could then go in here to request service, or if you know there's a particular part that needs to be ordered, make it very easy without you having to step into the branch. You could just go ahead and shop for the parts that you want. So this little highlighted section that takes you to sys gives you all of the details you need. So if you need an air filter that needs to be changed, a spark plug, whatever it is, it would give you that information under shop parts when you go for that particular event or fault code. It tells you what you need to order, and then you go into shop parts and you place the order for it. Moving on to the fluid analysis. This was recently incorporated into VisionLink. So the fluid analysis that samples that are being sent, you get to view the fluid samples over here, the date, the analysis, if it's being currently worked on, and you get to see the information right all the way here. So when was the sample meter taken? Let's just click on this. Right. So when you select the fuel sample, it tells you when the sample was received, the lab number, and the severity of this particular fluid sample. And so it talks about the fluid change, your filter change, the brand, the fluid type, and the fluid grade as well. They give you an interpretation of what it is, the elemental analysis, and more information depending on the kind of fuel being used. You would get more information or less information, right? And then you have your related sample results, and if an action is required or not. Sorry, I was looking at just one asset. And then back into health. After health is the inspection. So most cases use cat inspect to assign inspections for a particular asset, genset or whatnot. You could go in here. This is connected again to cat inspect, and it tells you all of the inspections that that need to be done. Or you could set up your inspections from this particular page. This is in French, but this gives you an idea on what inspections were there and what had to be, what had to be inspected. This has been completed. So the notes you could then attach notes or attachments for in case you want to give the person inspecting the machine or the genset an idea of what you need them to be looking at. You get to upload that as well. I'm going to go back to the main screen. So the service tab over here talks about all the open service requests. You could create service requests like I showed you through the needs review page as well, or the health page where you could go and request a service. So the service request page talks about the services that were created, work orders, and also the service history done for each of the machines in your fleet. So it gives you what were the assets the service performed, and the date and when it and who it was performed by. For example, where it says inspect cable, if you open up the work order, it tells you what was the inspection that was done. This is a lot of information compared to when VisionLink initially came into play. We had about 4 buttons up top, but now it's extended just because of the amount of information we get and also the accessibility to the dealerships and being able to have the dealership tie in with Caterpillar and share data back and forth to be able to understand where machines are at and how do we make it more convenient for the customers in terms of reaching out to them when they have a high priority or an event that would eventually cause them some kind of downtime. So it's just made it so much easier that anytime you have an issue, the app gives you the opportunity to kind of bring down the time that it takes to resolve an issue. Moving on to planned maintenance, this is a summary of the maintenance that is due, that is upcoming, or has been completed. In most cases, Caterpillar has a fixed preventive maintenance schedule for all machines or engines or gensets, and all you've got to do is go into the settings and enrollments. And right now it shows just one asset is tracked. So if you go to assets not tracked, it gives you a list of assets that are not tracked, and then you could go about enabling to enable the tracking, and this then gives you a breakup of for each PM for a 500 hours, 1,500, and what needs to be checked, and you enable the tracking for it, and we're good to go. So every time the planned maintenance is enabled, you are notified under needs review as to what is upcoming and what needs to be taken care of immediately. Moving on to the utilization page. So again, the top is always customizable based on the data you're trying to look for. So I tend to usually go for a year just so that you have sufficient data to look at. So over here, it gives you the breakdown of the total run hours for all of the assets that are currently that I've selected, that I've searched for. Total idle time, percentage of idle time, the total fuel burned, and the total CO2 emissions. And as you scroll down, this then gives you a breakup on each of your equipment and how it's been operating over the last 30, let's say 30, 60 days, right? The latest utilization report talks about when this last reported, and it also gives you, the total run times that has occurred for this particular machine. So if you ever come into the utilization screen and you're looking at these little exclamation marks, this only indicates that one, your machine, your telematics device is not able to receive data from the equipment to let us know that, okay, it's been operating for so long. So at this point, what the system is doing, it's basically starting to look at data over the last 7 days to see how the machine has been operating or the equipment has been operating every day. And then it does its own algorithm to kind of map it for the last 7 days, right? And that's when you see an exclamation mark letting you know that this data is based on what the system's calculating it to be, because we've not been receiving data from the telematics device. So again, nothing to be too concerned about. This is just an update to you who's monitoring your asset that there is a problem with the telematics. It's not reporting in, so that needs to be looked at immediately. Just trying to. Okay. All right, so your fleet age. This is very new to the system. It basically talks about all the equipment you own. It talks about your planned ownership period. So this could be always edited based on how long you have an agreement to have the equipment for, right? And then you enter this information, and it gives you the life expectation, or what do you say, the age of your assets over a period of time as to how many hours they run and how old, uh, you know, like, I'm sorry, if it goes over a certain expected annual usage is when you start seeing these numbers start going into red, which means that this equipment is being overused, right? And it shows you that you need to look at is there a reason for it being overused? And then if you feel that maybe these numbers are not right and I need to update it to its actual usage, you update it over here, and this then goes back to green based on the correct information you're getting. Now, because you put it at planned ownership period of 10,000 and it's already at 31, it's in red, right? So as you look into the system and you look at these values based on when you started owning the equipment and the hours that you got it at, you got to update that into the system, so that way you're able to see how long the machine is being used and how is it being used over the next 5 to 6 years, or 4 to 5 years actually. Moving on to the asset operation. So what you've seen in the utilization was a breakup of your total runtime, which is how long the equipment has been operational. And then that would break it down to the hours of it running versus idle, right? But when you come into the asset operation, this gives you an information on the actual start stop of an equipment. So if the engine was keyed on at a particular time to when it was keyed off, it would give you that period, a proper timestamp as to when it turned on and turned off, and what's its idling and operating time as well. If you see here, it's been running. It started at 12 a.m. and it ended at 8:55 a.m. So it gives you the duration of the time, how long this particular engine has been running. right? And the final tab on this menu is the manage, which is more an administrator kind of role. So you go in here to manage your device configurations, to add geofences or edit geofences, create groups. What geofences typically do is if you have a particular site that you have multiple assets working out of or equipment's working out of, you create a geofence. So anytime the asset exits or enters, that could also be counted as, your work time, or could also be a notification to you to let you know that the machine or the equipment has moved out of its geofence, which is just letting you know that there's probably a problem with it. Maybe it's being stolen, that you need to take action on it immediately. Or it could also be used to calculate the work time that the operator spent outside of the geofence versus in the geofence. You can view, add, and edit groups, create groups for each division or each field of work that the organization does, and you assign assets to that particular group. So you could then break that down to get reports on each group that you're monitoring on the kind of work they're doing on the field. Manage notifications. This is for your fault codes, alerts, condition monitoring, service insights, tasks. It could all be updated or be created for yourself based on what you need to, how you'd like to be notified, right? So if you need to be notified through email, you could go here and let's say you want to select condition monitoring insights. Give it the name of what notification is supposed to be, select the equipment that you need. You could either select the ones that are on a job site, in a geofence, or in a group. Select all of those, enter your email address, or you enter the text, and you enter the contact information that goes with it, and you click on add, and this then starts sending you notifications either through email or through text for high alerts, specifically for high alerts that need immediate attention. The multiple notifications over here, as you see, we have safety, health, which is the default fault codes, generator readiness, while off, while on, the default inspection, when the severity is yellow, red, again, planned maintenance, your device status, and recommendations as well. Right, so there is a whole lot of notifications that could be used based on the type of person that's using the system. Right, if you're an operator, if you want to see the utilization, or if you're an owner that wants to see how the fleet is handling in the field and be alerted every time there's something that needs to be done for the machine, you set up different alerts based on your choices. Right. Let's go back again to manage. QR code generator. This is when you have a machine, you could create a QR code if it doesn't already have one. Some of the older machines don't. So you would basically create a QR code for a particular asset, and once that QR code is created, it automatically gets into the system, and it's assigned its fault codes or its maintenance cycle that needs to be done. Right. So these are for the older machines that were there, and a way of not having to always walk to the machine to figure out what is wrong with it, or figure out what machine it is. Every time a new machine comes to you come to own the machine. If it's an older one, you create a QR code for this particular machine, and then it's in the system, and it's following all of the CATS protocols in terms of the preventive maintenance of the alerts. Your reports, again, there are multiple reports for you to view. Fleet utilization, asset usage, but it goes furthermore into the type of reports that you need to see. Like asset idle, operation, fleet fuel, fleet status, fleet utilization, generator critical standby performance, fleet operations health summary. So based on what you like, you could set up a scheduled report, and you would get this based on if you want it on a daily basis or you want it every week. You could set this up accordingly. Share is when you decide to rent your machine out to another customer. So you go ahead and you share this machine with that customer, and they get to see the machine in VisionLink as well. But be advised that they cannot make changes to it. We've given those rights specifically to the person that is renting out the machine. So you could share an asset with a customer or someone who needs it for, a work that's not tied to your company, but you get to see the machine, they get to see it as well, but you're the only one who could make changes to that particular equipment. Let's just go with equipment. And finally, managing users for your organization. You get to create users based on the access request, the access type that they need, right? So you enter the name, the email address. It's quite simple. I'll show you one way to do that. So the email has got to be one standard email. The same email address cannot be used for multiple accounts. So you enter the email address, give them the VisionLink access request or the access level, whether they want to see all assets, and then you choose the language and you click on invite. A link gets sent to the person's mailbox. Once in there, they just got to accept the invite and enter the information that is provided by the system. So this is almost everything that VisionLink has to offer in terms of, these the menus over here and what each of them stand for. I know there might be a lot of questions related to asset utilization or even the parameters of the genset and how it's working. I was actually thinking of showing you quickly into one of the assets. So specifically for the gensets of the engines, there's something called parameters that basically tells you the readiness of this particular equipment, cumulative hours, and also it shows the hidden part talks about what is not actually supported, right? So for a not reporting, when I was telling you that you would get information, sometimes you need the machine to be reporting. So if you have a not reporting, like the signal strength over here is low, you request a service, and as always, it would give you, I would like to request a service to address a device reporting issue, and you submit this request. It comes into Tormon for us to come on site and view that. Never received data could be to do with the product link, not this particular product link, but sometimes it could be the product link, or it could be the subscription that you have that doesn't provide this information that you're looking for. But in this case, it looks like this is the reason, signal strength is the reason for not receiving some of this information that you're looking at here. Yeah, that was quick on the parameters. I just want to show you where that would be. So when you're on this page, it's a summary of all of your equipment. And then if you need to look at the details of a particular asset, you just click on the asset. Like we did here, you search for the one you want to view and you click on this. It brings you back to pretty much all of the menu options that you see on the main page. An overview on how it's performing, if there are any needs review actions that need to be done, any safety alerts, parameters, health, plan maintenance, requesting service. And you could then look at the timeline of how long this machine has been operating for the last 7 days, when it was turned off, the utilization of it, asset operation, schedule agreements. Go to the agreements. It's just it's the warranties that you'd see over here. And finally, your ECM telematics and the file storage. I know that's a lot of information to digest at this point, and I hope I wasn't too fast when I was trying to explain it, but my contact information is already there. So at any time, if you feel the need to ask a question or you need help with something, do not hesitate to reach out, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. Ross?
All right. Thanks, Chad. I'm just going to share one last slide here just to show our eSupport email. So again, thank you everyone for joining. I share my screen. There we go. Thank you everyone for joining. If you have any questions or need to set up an account or need help setting up an account, please email any of these questions to esupport@toromont.com. Again, these slides will be sent out in the next couple of weeks. So if you don't happen to take a picture of it right now, then you'll see this in the next couple of weeks. So again, thanks everyone for joining, and thank you, Chad, for the live demo. That was awesome.
Thank you, Ross.
All right,
Thanks,
have
everyone.
a good day, everyone.